We often assume that losing strength in our legs is simply a part of getting older, that it's inevitable, just biology winding down. But research in neuroscience and muscle physiology tells a different story. Yes, aging plays a role, but it's not the main reason most people lose lower body strength. In fact, much of this decline is preventable and in many cases reversible when we understand what's actually happening inside our brain, nervous system, and muscle tissue. Let's start with a surprising fact. After the age of 30, we lose about 3 to 5% of muscle mass per decade if we're inactive. But even more importantly, the decline in strength far outpaces the loss in muscle size. Why? Because your brain's ability to activate those muscles, especially in your legs, is breaking down before the muscles themselves do. This means that what looks like muscle weakness often begins as a communication problem between the brain and the body, not just a matter of age or muscle atrophy. This communication happens through what neuroscientists call the neuromuscular junction, a place where your motor neurons and muscle fibers meet. It's like the Wi-Fi signal between your brain and your legs. And just like Wi-Fi, that signal can degrade if you don't maintain it. Stress, poor sleep, inflammation, lack of specific types of movement, they all weaken that connection. So you might be doing leg workouts, but if your nervous system isn't fully engaged, the strength doesn't come back the way it should. Now, why does this matter beyond physical performance? Because leg strength isn't just about movement, it's a neurological and psychological signal. Research from the British Medical Journal and the Journal of Journalology has shown that leg strength correlates strongly with longevity, cognitive health, and even emotional resilience. Weak legs predict more than just falls. They predict how your brain ages and how your body regulates energy and stress. In this episode, we're going to break down 6 powerful, science-backed insights into why your leg strength may be declining and what you can do to reverse it. This isn't about hitting the gym harder. It's about understanding the invisible systems, dopamine circuits to proprioception that determine how your body recruits strength. We'll explore the real reason walking more isn't always enough, why use it or lose it is only half the truth, and how hormonal shifts, neuroplasticity, and even your mindset play a direct role in keeping your legs strong, agile, and coordinated. And most importantly, you'll walk away with simple, actionable tools you can use today to reignite your strength from the inside out. Because the loss of leg strength is not just a physical issue, it's a brain issue. And once you understand the science behind it, you can take back control. You might assume that weaker legs mean smaller muscles, that your quadriceps, hamstrings, or glutes are simply fading away with time. But what the science shows is this: the strength loss you experience with age often starts not in the muscle, but in the brain. This begins with a process called neural drive, your brain's ability to send a strong, clear signal to a muscle, telling it to contract fully and powerfully. Imagine trying to turn on a lamp with a dimmer switch stuck halfway. The bulb is fine, it's just not getting the current it needs. The same thing happens between your motor cortex and your legs. In studies using electromyography (EMG), researchers have found that older adults often retain more muscle mass than we expect, but are activating far less of it. One 2012 study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that reductions in neural drive were responsible for nearly 50% of age-related strength loss, especially in large lower body muscles like the quads and glutes. So what's happening inside your nervous system? A critical part of the answer lies at the neuromuscular junction, the synapse where a motor neuron connects to a muscle fiber. Think of it as the brain's final handshake with your body before movement happens. Over time, if you're not challenging your body in dynamic, weight-bearing, or neurologically engaging ways, this junction degrades, it becomes less responsive, less efficient, and in some cases, the brain stops seeing the muscle altogether. This is compounded by a reduction in motor unit recruitment. A motor unit is one neuron plus all the muscle fibers it activates for powerful movements like standing quickly, climbing stairs, or stabilizing during a fall. Your brain must recruit multiple motor units rapidly and in sync. But with age and inactivity, the brain loses its ability to do this with precision. The result? A slower reaction time, reduced force production, and an increased risk of injury. Have you ever noticed that getting out of a chair feels slower than it used to, even though you're not significantly heavier or more out of shape? That lag isn't just physical, it's neurological. Your brain is hesitating, searching for the right signal pathway to engage the movement. But here's the good news. Neural connections are trainable. What's happening in your brain when you begin retraining this system is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire and strengthen connections with use. And when you apply this principle with intention, your strength doesn't just stabilize, it can come back, often dramatically. A simple tool to apply is explosive intent training. This doesn't mean doing dangerous high-impact moves. It means focusing on movements, even bodyweight squats or leg presses, with the intent to move quickly during the effort phase. For example, when rising from a squat, drive upward with controlled speed and full mental focus. Studies from the European Journal of Applied Physiology show that this mental focus on speed increases neural activation significantly, even if the movement speed remains moderate. Another strategy, unilateral training. Working one leg at a time. This forces your brain to isolate and fully engage that side, strengthening the brain-muscle connection. Exercises like step-ups, single-leg glute bridges, or Bulgarian split squats demand more cortical involvement, meaning your brain has to think and coordinate more deeply to execute. And don't overlook the value of mindful movement. The act of consciously focusing on how your legs move through space, how your feet strike the ground, how your knees align, how your glutes contract, heightens proprioception and reinforces those fading neural maps. Think of it as upgrading the brain's GPS for your lower body. Here's a reflective question. When was the last time you really paid attention to how your legs felt during movement? Not just how tired they were, but how connected they were to your intention? Rebuilding leg strength begins with this connection, because without a strong signal from the brain, the strongest muscles in the world can't deliver. But with consistent, focused, and neurologically informed training, the brain begins to adapt quickly. New neurons fire, synapses strengthen, strength returns. This isn't about turning back the clock. It's about understanding that the real key to strength is not just muscle, it's the mind-body signal that drives it. If you've been walking daily, doing yoga, or even hitting the gym regularly, and still feel like your leg strength isn't improving, you're not alone. The issue may not be whether you're moving, but how you're moving. Because when it comes to maintaining lower body power, not all movement is created equal. Your muscles are made up of two primary types of fibers, slow twitch and fast twitch. Slow twitch fibers, type 1, are built for endurance. They fire slowly, resist fatigue, and are engaged during long walks, casual cycling, or standing for extended periods. They're essential, but they don't generate much force. Fast twitch fibers, type 2, on the other hand, are the engines of strength, speed, and quick reactions. They contract rapidly and forcefully. These are the fibers that help you sprint, jump, climb stairs, catch yourself from a fall, or even just get out of a chair quickly. And they're the first to go when we age or become sedentary. What's crucial to understand is that fast twitch fibers are not activated unless the movement demands it. That means if your activity level remains in a low to moderate intensity range, like walking or slow resistance training, you could go years without meaningfully activating them. The saying goes, if you don't use them, you lose them. And for fast twitch fibers, the loss is faster and more consequential. In a 2007 study published in the American Journal of Physiology, researchers found that older adults who performed regular low-intensity activity still lost significant fast-twitch fiber mass and strength over time. Why? Because they weren't recruiting those fibers. Muscle biopsies confirmed that type 2 fibers atrophied even in otherwise active individuals. So the key is targeted stimulation. Here's what the research shows. In order to engage fast-twitch fibers, the activity must either be high in intensity, involve explosive intent, or place the muscle under heavy demand in a short time. That doesn't mean you need to sprint or jump, though for some people those can be powerful tools. It means you need to introduce short bouts of intensity or load that push your muscles and nervous system beyond the endurance zone. Let's break that down into tools you can use. Tool number 1, add controlled power movements once a week. Movements like kettlebell swings, jump squats, or even fast-paced step-ups can activate fast-twitch fibers. The key is to focus on controlled speed and power. Start small, 1 session a week, low volume, high focus, safety and form come first. Tool number 2, use tempo contrast in resistance training. Perform the eccentric phase, lowering slowly, about 3 to 4 seconds, then switch to an explosive concentric phase, lifting or rising. This contrast recruits a broader range of fibers and triggers both strength and neural adaptation. Tool number 3, try asymmetric holds with an explosive finish. Hold a bodyweight squat just above parallel for 10 to 15 seconds, then rise as quickly and powerfully as you can while maintaining control. This primes the fast twitch fibers and builds reactive strength. Now you might be wondering, is this safe for older adults? The answer is yes, when appropriately scaled. In fact, researchers at McMaster University demonstrated that even people in their 70s and 80s saw significant gains in leg power when they incorporated low-impact but high-effort explosive movements under supervision. The muscle fibers adapted quickly. So the real question isn't, can you re-engage your fast-twitch fibers? It's, will you train in a way that challenges them? Because this kind of strength, quick, reactive, explosive, is what keeps you independent. It's the ability to climb stairs without fear, to balance after a stumble, to move with confidence. And unlike endurance, it fades fast if ignored. This brings us to an important principle in neuroscience called use-dependent plasticity. Your brain and body don't just respond to movement, they respond to the quality of challenge. When you demand power, they build pathways to support power. But if all you ask for is endurance, that's all they preserve. Now, if this insight is helpful and you're finding real value in understanding the science behind strength, consider subscribing to this channel. We dive deep into the neuroscience of performance, longevity, and emotional health. And every week we bring you practical tools that you can implement immediately. The truth is, muscle isn't just for looking strong, it's for staying capable. And when it comes to leg strength, fast twitch fibers are your hidden reserve. They're your quick reflexes, your bounce, your ability to recover and adapt. And they're still there even if they've been quiet for a while. You just have to waken up. You might be doing the right exercises, eating well, and even pushing yourself, yet still wondering, why aren't my legs responding the way they used to? Why is the progress so slow or even reversing? The answer could be hidden in something that often goes unnoticed: chronic, low-grade inflammation. Inflammation isn't just about visible swelling or pain. It's a biochemical state, a cellular environment that either supports muscle growth and neural signaling or shuts it down. And for many people, over 40, persistent systemic inflammation is quietly sabotaging strength, recovery, and mobility. Let's talk about what's really happening. Every time you train your legs, especially with resistance or explosive intent, you create micro tears in the muscle. This is a healthy process. Your body then launches a brief, localized inflammatory response, sends repair cells like satellite cells, and rebuilds the muscle stronger than before. This is how we adapt. But here's where things get tricky. When your body is already burdened with background inflammation caused by poor sleep, chronic stress, excess sugar, processed oils, or even hidden gut issues, the repair signals don't work as well. The muscle-building response becomes blunt, the brain's ability to communicate clearly with your legs disrupted, and over time, the results of your hard work minimal. In a 2015 study published in the Journal of Gerontology, researchers found that elevated markers of inflammation, specifically interleukin-6, IL-6, and C-reactive protein, CRP, were strongly associated with reduced grip strength, slower gait, and lower leg power in older adults. Importantly, these correlations held even when accounting for age and physical activity. Inflammation was the differentiator. Here's what's happening in your brain when inflammation is high. Neuroinflammation affects the motor cortex, the region responsible for planning and executing movement. It also impacts dopamine pathways, reducing motivation and drive. This double hit makes you not only feel physically weaker, but also less mentally inclined to train or move with intention. It's not just laziness, it's neurobiology. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to build a house during a storm. The tools are there, the workers are ready, but the conditions just aren't conducive. That's what training in a chronically inflamed state feels like. Effort with minimal reward. But here's the empowering truth. Inflammation is modifiable, and often just a few consistent shifts in behavior can change the internal chemistry dramatically. Here are tools based on what the research shows. Tool number 1, prioritize deep sleep, especially slow-wave sleep. During deep sleep, your brain flushes out inflammatory waste via the glymphatic system, and your muscles receive the highest secretion of growth hormone, critical for repair. One powerful habit is to get sunlight within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. This anchors your circadian rhythm and leads to deeper, more restorative sleep at night. Tool number 2, reduce omega-6 load and balance with omega-3. Most modern diets are high in omega-6 fatty acids, especially from seed oils, which drive inflammation when unchecked. Increase fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, flaxseed, and walnuts, or consider a high-quality fish oil supplement. A 2020 meta-analysis in Nutrients found that omega-3s reduced markers of muscle inflammation and improved recovery in older adults. Tool number 3, use movement to drive anti-inflammatory cytokines. Not all exercise is equal when it comes to inflammation. Gentle, rhythmical leg movements like cycling or brisk walking for just 20-30 minutes can elevate IL-10, an anti-inflammatory cytokine. Pairing this with resistance work creates a dual effect: muscle stimulation plus immune regulation. Tool number 4, calm the nervous system daily. Chronic inflammation is fueled by a constantly on sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight mode. Practices like slow nasal breathing, Try 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out for 5 minutes. Meditation or even short nature walks help shift the body into parasympathetic recovery mode, lowering cortisol and inflammatory markers. You may not feel inflammation like you feel soreness, but you'll notice its effects in small ways: slower recovery, mental fatigue, mood changes, reduced strength, even disrupted sleep. These are all signs that your internal environment needs recalibration. Here's a reflective question. When was the last time you focused not just on what you do to build strength, but on what's happening inside your body between those efforts? Because true strength isn't just about output, it's about the environment you create for your body to grow. And that's where inflammation holds either the key to progress or the silent chain that keeps you stuck. The good news, you can change that environment, and when you do, the results of your training begin to show up again: faster recovery, better energy, and strength that actually feels real and reliable. You're not broken. Your body's just waiting for the conditions to shift. Think back to a time when you were walking on a trail, stepping over uneven ground, or balancing on one leg to tie your shoe. In those moments, without you realizing it, your brain was firing dozens of micro adjustments, activating stabilizer muscles, recalibrating posture, predicting your next step, all in fractions of a second. But what's remarkable is that those moments of balance and instability are not just coordination exercises. They're powerful, underutilized tools for building and preserving leg strength. Here's why. When you train balance, your brain and body are forced to co-activate multiple muscle groups simultaneously. Your glutes, quads, hamstrings, calves, and especially your deep stabilizers all fire in unison to prevent you from falling. This creates a high neural demand, which strengthens not just the muscles, but the communication channels between your brain and body. From a neuroscience perspective, this is called proprioceptive feedback, your body's ability to sense its position in space. And the richer this feedback loop, the stronger and more reactive your lower body becomes. Now here's the problem. As we age, we stop challenging balance. We walk on flat surfaces, wear cushioned shoes, avoid instability, and as a result, we gradually dull that feedback loop. The stabilizer muscles weaken, the brain becomes less precise in its signals, and strength, especially dynamic strength, begins to erode. In a 2012 study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, older adults who engaged in balance-based strength training not only improved their postural control, they also saw significant increases in leg strength compared to traditional strength training alone, because balance training activates more motor units. It demands more from your nervous system, and that creates real adaptation. What's happening in your brain when you train balance is even more fascinating. You engage the cerebellum, the region responsible for coordination and fine motor control, alongside the motor cortex and basal ganglia, which handle muscle planning and initiation. This trio of brain regions essentially works overtime to predict, adjust, and correct your movements in real time. And what we know from decades of motor learning research is this: the more your brain is involved in movement, the more your muscles respond. Training that challenges balance isn't just physical, it's neural conditioning. And that's where strength lives. So what can you do to reactivate this system? Tool number 1, add single leg exercises to your routine. Even bodyweight movements like single leg Romanian deadlifts, step downs, or rear foot elevated squats challenge balance significantly more than bilateral movements. Start with support like holding onto a wall or chair, and gradually reduce reliance as your control improves. Tool number 2, train on unstable surfaces intelligently. Use balance pads or a soft mat when doing basic movements like calf raises or bodyweight squats. The slight instability activates stabilizers and forces your brain to stay engaged. Avoid gimmicks like balancing on BUSU balls with heavy weights. The goal is not circus tricks, but functional control. Tool number 3, turn still time into micro-balance training. Next time you're brushing your teeth, stand on one leg, switch legs halfway through. This simple habit, just 2-4 minutes per day, adds up to over an hour a month of extra neuromuscular coordination with zero extra time carved out. Tool number 4, practice controlled dynamic balance. Exercises like heel-to-toe walking, as if walking a tightrope, backward walking, or light agility drills, stimulate balance in motion, which is the most transferable kind. These movements train your ability to adapt in real time, which is critical for fall prevention and reactive strength. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you lost your balance and had to correct yourself quickly? If that hasn't happened in a while, your system might be detrained, the brain gets rusty without unpredictability, and strength built in static, predictable environments doesn't always translate to real-life movement. Which brings us to something powerful. Balance is strength in disguise. It's neural drive, it's fast twitch engagement, it's postural control, it's leg strength that works when it matters most during that misstep, that quick turn, that moment when your body has to respond fast. And if this insight is resonating, if you're starting to see how strength is as much neurological as it is muscular, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Each week we break down the science of how to upgrade your body, brain, and life with real usable tools like these. Strength isn't just built in the squat rack, it's built in the quiet moments when you demand more from your brain-body connection, when you make movement just a little more uncertain and your body has to rise to meet the challenge. Don't just train for muscle, train for control, for precision, for readiness. Balance is where that begins. Here's something few people consider when they lose strength in their legs. It may not be a muscle issue at all. It may be a mapping issue in the brain. Let me explain. Every movement you make, from standing up to walking to executing a lunge, is directed by your brain's motor map. This is a network of neural representations that tells your muscles when to fire, how much force to produce, and in what sequence. It's incredibly precise, like GPS for your body. But just like a map, if it's not updated or used regularly, it starts to degrade, pathways fade, signals weaken, and your movement becomes slower, less coordinated, and less powerful, even if your muscles are technically strong enough. This phenomenon is well documented in neuroscience. In a 2011 study published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, researchers showed that when individuals stopped using specific motor patterns, even for a few weeks, the brain's representations of those movements in the primary motor cortex began to shrink. The use it or lose it principle doesn't just apply to muscle mass, it applies quite literally to your brain's internal map of movement. So when you're not regularly challenging your lower body with varied intentional movement, the motor map for those actions begins to blur. The consequence, your muscles don't receive clear instructions. This is what makes you feel uncoordinated or unstable, even when strength training is part of your life. Let's ground this with a real-world analogy. Imagine trying to drive through a city with old directions where half the roads have changed. You might get there eventually, but it'll be inefficient, slow, and frustrating. That's what happens when your motor map isn't updated. The instructions from your brain to your legs become less efficient, and your strength suffers. Now, here's the good news. Motor maps are plastic. That is, they can be rewired at any age. What's happening in your brain when you rewire a motor map is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to create new connections in response to experience. This process is driven by intensity, novelty, and attention, which means you don't just need more reps, you need intentional, varied movement that captures your focus. Here are 4 tools that help rewrite and refresh your motor map. Tool number 1, slow down the reps. When you perform strength movements slowly, especially the eccentric lowering phase, you give your brain more time to encode the motor pattern. This enhances the precision of the map. A tempo of 3 to 4 seconds on the way down in squats or lunges is a great place to start. Tool number 2, move in multiple planes. Most people train forward and backward, the sagittal plane, but the brain needs rotational and lateral movement to fully activate and refine its motor maps. Exercises like lateral lunges, diagonal step backs, and rotational reaches create a richer, more resilient movement map. Tool number 3, use visualization before movement. Research in motor imagery, particularly studies published in Neuroscience Letters, shows that visualizing a movement activates many of the same motor circuits as physically performing it. Before your workout, take 30 seconds to mentally rehearse a movement with vivid detail. This primes the motor map and increases performance. Tool number 4, make movements novel and mindful. Try using light resistance bands, eyes closed balance drills, or uneven loads, like a dumbbell on just one side. These variations demand more attention, and attention is the currency of neuroplasticity. Even just focusing intently on the feel of each rep can increase motor cortex activation. Ask yourself this: do you move with presence or just go through the motion? The difference matters more than most people realize. When you move with presence, when your nervous system is truly engaged, you're literally redrawing the lines of your internal GPS. You're telling your brain, this movement matters, strengthen it, refine it, and the payoff is significant. Better balance, more reactive strength, faster coordination, fewer injuries, and a sense of control that goes beyond the gym and into everyday life, from walking stairs to catching yourself during a trip. Here's a final insight worth remembering. Strength isn't just built in the muscles, it's built in the map that tells those muscles what to do, and that map lives in your brain. You have the power to redraw that map at any age. And when you do, movement starts to feel natural again, not forced, not clumsy, just right. Let your strength begin in the nervous system. Let's talk about something that might surprise you. When most people think about strength, especially in their legs, they picture squats, lunges, maybe climbing stairs, steady, controlled effort. And while that kind of strength absolutely matters, there's a different kind of strength that tends to disappear first, often without anyone noticing. Explosive strength. Also known as rate of force development, RFD, explosive strength is your body's ability to generate power quickly, to go from rest to motion in a split second. It's what helps you sprint to catch a bus, jump out of the way of danger, or even just get off the floor without struggling. And here's the critical insight. Loss of explosive power is one of the earliest and most dangerous forms of strength decline with age. A 2010 review published in Sports Medicine found that while overall muscle strength declines at a rate of roughly 1 to 2% per year after age 50, explosive strength can decline up to 3 to 5% per year if not trained. That's more than double the rate of regular strength loss. And it's not just about athleticism. Loss of RFD is strongly correlated with higher fall risk, slower reaction time, and diminished mobility in older adults. Why does this happen? Because explosive movement relies heavily on your fast twitch muscle fibers, the ones that produce quick, high-force contractions. These fibers are more metabolically demanding, so the body stops recruiting them as frequently when they're not needed. Over time, if they're not activated regularly, the nervous system essentially forgets how to access them, and the result is a body that's slower to react and more vulnerable to injury. What's happening in your brain is just as important. Explosive movement is heavily reliant on cortical drive, the ability of the motor cortex to rapidly send a high-frequency signal to muscles. When you're young, this signal is sharp and fast. But without regular explosive activity, that drive becomes dulled, like a pianist who hasn't practiced playing fast passages in years. So how do you bring it back? You don't need to start jumping on boxes or sprinting full speed. In fact, doing so too soon can backfire. But what you do need is progressive exposure to speed and power, movements that demand quick force but are scaled to your current capacity. Here are 4 science-based tools to reawaken explosive strength safely. Tool number 1, intentional acceleration during strength work. Even in traditional strength exercises like squats or step-ups, focus on moving the weight as fast as possible on the concentric lifting phase while still maintaining control. This velocity-based training approach has been shown to activate more motor units and improve rate of force development without adding extra load. Tool number 2, medicine ball throws or slams. These are low-impact, high-intent power movements that train explosive upper and lower body coordination. Start with a light ball 4 to 6 plebs and throw it with full effort, either overhead rotationally or into the ground. Think of it as sprinting for your nervous system, but without the joint stress. Tool number 3, banded or assisted jumping movements. Using resistance bands or TRX for support, practice gentle jump squats or pogo hops. These reduce the load on joints while still encouraging fast twitch recruitment. Focus on quality over quantity, 3 to 5 reps with full intent, 2 to 3 sets, 1 to 2 times per week is a powerful start. Tool number 4, ground reaction training. Exercises like fast step-ups, skipping drills, or short hill sprints, 8 to 10 seconds help reintroduce speed with a safe movement arc. The key is brief, powerful bursts, not exhaustion. Think activation, not punishment. Here's a question to reflect on. When was the last time you moved fast with full body intent? If you can't remember, it's likely your fast twitch fibers are asleep, but the good news is they're not gone, they're dormant, and you can wake them up. The empowering reality is this. Explosive strength is trainable well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond, and regaining it can drastically improve functional ability, mental sharpness, and confidence in your body. It doesn't just help you perform better, it helps you feel younger, more agile, and more alive. And remember, it's not about becoming an athlete. It's about retaining the ability to respond, to move quickly when life demands it, to catch yourself, to leap back from danger, to sprint towards something that matters. If this part of the video lit a fire in you, if you're starting to realize strength is more than just lifting heavy, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. There's more science-backed, life-elevating content coming every week. Tools to help you feel strong, not just in body, but in brain and behavior too. You're not too old to move explosively, you're just not training for it yet. Now you know how. Let's take a moment to pull all these pieces together. We started by uncovering a surprising truth. Losing strength in your legs isn't simply about getting older or losing muscle mass. It's a multifaceted process, one deeply tied to your brain's wiring, your nervous system's control, and the quality of your movement habits. You learned how chronic inactivity and sedentary behavior lead to profound neural and muscular changes, not just muscle shrinkage, but loss of the neurological signals that tell those muscles how to fire. We explored the crucial role of motor maps in your brain, the GPS guiding every step, squat, and balance movement, and how these maps fade without intentional mindful movement. We saw that refreshing these maps through slow, varied, and attentive movement is essential to reclaiming fluidity and strength. We also dug into the hidden decline of explosive strength, that vital capacity to generate quick power which fades faster than raw strength, but can be reignited with focus training on speed and intent. Throughout this, a common thread emerged. Strength isn't just built in your muscles, it's built in your brain and nervous system. The tools we discussed, from walking mindfully to slowing down your reps, from varied movement patterns to adding gentle explosive actions, aren't complicated. They're practical, evidence-based, and accessible at any age or fitness level. Why does this matter? Because regaining leg strength isn't just about being able to lift more weight or climb stairs easier. It's about regaining control over your body and your life. Strong legs mean better balance, fewer falls, more confidence in daily activities, and a profound sense of autonomy. What you do today changes not only your muscles, but rewires your brain for better movement tomorrow. Here's a challenge I want to leave you with. Choose one tool from this speech. Maybe it's slowing your squats down, or practicing lateral lunges, or adding a few medicine ball throws. Commit to it for the next week. Watch how your body responds. Notice your brain engaging in a new way. Feel that subtle shift in control. Science shows that small, consistent changes trigger powerful neuroplastic rewiring. Your body and brain are ready for it. If this video helped clarify why your legs feel weaker and gave you practical ways forward, I encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe. Join a community of people committed to using science and behavior to reclaim their strength and vitality. Remember, it's not just age, it's the choices you make every day about how you move and engage your nervous system. Your legs are your foundation. Treat them with the respect of intentional movement and brain-powered training. That foundation will support everything else in your life, your health, your independence, your joy. Thank you for trusting me to share this science with you. Here's to stronger legs, sharper minds, and better living. Starting now.